I felt bad for the two parked cars that were just parked there because the residents came out and they're like, "Oh, what happened to my car?" I'm like, "Lady just forgot to put her car in park and got out of her car because she was frantic about the accident."
And she was taken to the hospital by ambulance.
Yes, yes, sir.
Ms. Gonzalez, the ticket was issued on the 1st of July, about 3:08 in the afternoon. The Rochester Road and Dewey Streets in Royal Oak, and you were cited failure to yield, and there was a crash. You can admit or deny responsibility, or you can admit responsibility with an explanation. How do you wish to proceed?
I want to contest this ticket. I do not feel that I was at fault. And I want
Raise your
to-
right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
I do.
The officer will testify first, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On Tuesday, July 1st, 2025, at approximately 14:48 hours, which is 2:48 p.m., I, along with Officer Carr, responded to an injury accident in the intersection of Rochester Street and Dewey. Unit 1, who is a defendant here, was southbound Rochester making a left turn to go eastbound on Dewey when the defendant driver struck the front center of the other vehicle's vehicle. The other vehicle stated that she was stopped at the stop sign on Dewey Street on westbound, going westbound, waiting for traffic to clear to turn left onto southbound Rochester. That was when she was struck by the defendant, who was making a left turn from southbound Rochester to eastbound Dewey. Your Honor, when the accident occurred, the other driver that was stopped at the stop sign advised that she exited her vehicle and forgot to place the vehicle in park. And this caused her vehicle to reverse and hit two parked vehicles that were parked on Dewey Street that were facing eastbound on the street. Your Honor, the fire department responded to the scene and transported the other driver of the vehicle to the hospital for a left wrist injury. And then one of the vehicles from the scene was towed away. Based on witnesses' interviews and the defendant's story on scene and the other vehicle's other driver's story, it was determined that the defendant was at fault due to her making the left hand and her having to yield to oncoming traffic, to traffic before making that turn. And that is when I issued the citation for failure to yield, causing the accident.
Was the other vehicle involved in the crash northbound on Rochester or westbound on Dewey?
Westbound on Dewey, Your Honor.
Were you able to locate the debris after the crash?
Not that I can recall, Your Honor. There was some debris from the parked vehicles that were hit, as well as her vehicle from where her vehicle was originally at, and then where the vehicle was reversing back to and hitting those two parked vehicles.
So the other driver was not in her vehicle when it backed up and hit the other two parked cars?
Correct. She was already out on the curb, waiting for the fire department to come check her out.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez, it's your turn now.
Yes, correct. I was traveling south on Rochester Road. There are no yield signs, no stop signs, no lights. So I had the right of way when I made the left-hand turn. There was no oncoming traffic. My attention was focused on making sure that there was no oncoming traffic before turning east onto Dewey. The other driver was stopped at the corner. Now she had the stop sign. She's the only one who had the stop sign. Now the stop sign is like approximately 12 feet from the corner. And I believe that she moved her car forward in order to make her left turn, I have pictures of her vehicle. There was no debris. The crash site, or the crash, is to this side of her car, the passenger side. So if she were behind the parking sign, there's no way that I could have hit the passenger side of her car unless she had moved her car forward already, already trying to make her turn. There's no way, and it happened so fast. When I was making my turn, all of a sudden she appeared there. It was like, where did she come from? And when we struck, all of a sudden she exited her vehicle. And then, as he mentioned, the car rolled back. And I was trying to get her attention to let her know, hey, your car's rolling back. But everything was happening so fast. And she immediately walked to the sidewalk and was on her phone. And then her car went backwards. That's another part of the story. But I truly believe that I was not at fault. My ticket was given for failure to yield. How could I have had failure to yield when I didn't have a yield sign? I didn't have a stop sign. She was the one with the stop sign. And because of where her car was struck, if she was behind the stop sign, here's the picture of the stop sign. How could I have struck her passenger side unless the nose of her car was already sticking out? And there was no way for the officers to determine the position of the vehicles because they weren't there. Hers was down the street, and I moved mine to the curb. So when they were there, they couldn't see the positions of the car to see who was at fault. I could, it just happened so fast, especially when her car started rolling back, then it was like another issue. So I want to contest this. I do truly believe in my heart that I was not at fault.
What part of your vehicle was in contact with the other vehicle?
Pardon me?
What part of your vehicle was in contact with the other vehicle?
I have a picture of that. My driver's side.
You're showing me the front and saying the side.
Right over here. It's my side, and then hers.
Ma'am,
hers is.
Please stop.
Okay.
I asked you what part of your vehicle was in contact with the other vehicle, and you said the driver's side.
The driver.
And then you showed me the front of the vehicle.
My driver's side. Towards.
How does the side of your car, do you mean the front of your car towards the driver's side, or are you actually meaning it was the driver's side of your car that was in contact?
Okay, going for the front, I don't know, okay. The driver, my side, the driver's side, a little bit towards, not in the middle, not at the very end, but like right, well, I tried to show you a picture.
Are you talking about the front of the car or the side of it?
The front of the car.
Okay.
The front, I'm sorry, the front of my vehicle, my car.
And what part of the other car was in contact with your car?
The front passenger corner, the corner passenger front of her front passenger side. So if she was coming out and I was turning, then my car hit her passenger side. And if she were behind the sign, there's no way that I could have hit her on that side. Unless she was sticking the nose of her car out towards the street when I was making the turn.
Can I see the photograph of her car?
I have two. It's can you see it? Right around here. It's like where I see the damage. So if she were behind the sign, how could I have struck her on that side? Unless
I'm not here, ma'am, to answer your questions.
Right. Okay, well that was.
Do you have a second photograph of the other car?
the full front, if you're able to see that.
It would help if you keep it stationary a little.
It's right around, right here is the damage. So it's the front. So the cars were not in position of where the impact took place because her car rolled down the street.
Right. Oh, I understand that.
Okay.
I have a question for Officer Keikos. When you observed the damage to the vehicles, officer, was the damage to the other car, not Ms. Gonzalez's car, but the other car, was the damage to that car as it relates to the first crash on the front passenger side?
It was on the, based on my report, Your Honor, it was on the front center
But
of the car, and then as well as when the vehicle backed up, it had the rear center from hitting those parked vehicles.
well, yeah. And I
What
asked,
side of the street were the cars on that got hit?
It was on, well, when she was facing westbound, her car was facing westbound, and then she hit the cars facing eastbound on the street. So it was on the east side of the street on the Rochester side.
I'm sorry, did you say where was her car? Her car rolled backwards going east as she hit the cars that were parked on the south side of the street.
That's
So
exactly
her car
what the
went back
officer
and
said.
hit the south side. Yeah,
A vehicle making a
So
left
if she
turn
were on
has
the
to wait
left-hand
until all the
right-
traffic. Ma'am, I'm talking. A vehicle making a left turn has to wait until traffic is clear. Left turn always has to wait until traffic is clear. A driver at a stop sign has to wait until traffic is clear before they proceed past the stop sign. It appears that the other driver may have been intending to make a left turn as well, because the damage to the car was in the front and appeared to be front right, center to the right, not center to the left. And those photographs anyway. And if she was, the first thing that you said, Ms. Gonzalez, is that the other driver had stopped or was stopped. I forget which you said, but you definitely said that they were stopped.
well, actually what I said was, when I was making my turn, that all of a sudden she was there. Now, whether she was stopped or in the
No,
process.
ma'am, you said stop. You said stop. Then you went on to say that you don't know where she came from.
Okay, well, I apologize, but it's like, it happened so fast, all of a sudden she was there. Now, whether she was making her turn or an actual stop, I cannot confirm. It happened so fast. I just know that she was, all of a sudden she was there as I was making my turn. But she was not behind the stop sign. She was already like coming towards the street.
Well,
Because if I
the
may.
stop signs are placed on the near side of the sidewalks, so that cars stop before pedestrians walk across. And then most drivers will stop and then they have to pull up to see if it's safe to go. So there's no testimony here that there was a violation that amounted to the other driver not stopping at the stop sign. Whether she stayed stopped long enough remains to be seen. However, you're cited for failing to yield. And when making a left, you always have to yield to oncoming traffic. The other vehicle wasn't oncoming traffic.
Correct. My responsibility was to oncoming traffic.
Well, you're not supposed to hit things no matter, let's say the car is not supposed to be there. That doesn't mean you can hit them.
Correct.
But southbound, making a left onto Dewey. Another car was coming out. Front of their car was hit. If you were making a sweeping left turn, not saying you were, if you were making a sweeping left turn as opposed to a right angle left turn, then it would not be impossible that a vehicle making a sweeping left would be angling in towards the center right of the vehicle that was oncoming in the westbound lane.
Or it would have been on the driver's side, which it wasn't.
Oh, it depends what, it would
Right.
depend on when the driver started the sweeping turn. Sweeping
But
turn
it was,
could have just missed the curb on the north side of the street. I'm not saying that's
Right,
what
but
it
the
did, but
damage-
that would be a way to have the damage line up that way.
right, I understand. But I don't see any damage to the center of her car. I see it towards, well, I already showed you the pictures.
Yeah.
And I did ask the officers if they took pictures, and they said they do not take pictures. That's why I took these pictures. I wasn't aware that I was going to be issued the ticket because I was not standing near the other person while she was, stating her side of the story. And
No matter no matter which driver is speaking with the officer, we all perceive from our own perspective. And much of perception is perspective.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean that the people are misleading the officer. They're seeing things from their own perspective. I would
Right.
imagine that the other driver was, as it would not be surprising that you were too. That's not an indication of an attempt to deceive. It's just we
Right.
see things from the way we see. And the burden of proof,
But I
the
don't
civil
understand.
infraction informal hearing,
I just,
is by a preponderance of the evidence. That means one side has to hit more than 50% and the other side has to be less than 50%. As I'm looking at these facts, I can say I don't think either side is preponderated. And on that basis, I'm going to dismiss the ticket.
thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now, how do I go about getting confirmation or verification of this to submit to my insurance company?
The court doesn't mail out these things, but actually what happened here is hearsay relative to the crash,
Okay,
because this matter dealt with a civil infraction. It did not deal with who's responsible for the crash.
okay,
Sometimes that might be a difference without a distinction. Sometimes it is significant. But the bottom line here is that the officer submitted a UD-10, which is a form that goes to the Secretary of State after the crash. After any crash, and the UD-10 is the basis for the insurance company, not what happens in court.
okay.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Kickles, I think you've got one left. Cheyenne Jenkins, who is not here. Default will enter at 9:01.
Sounds good, Your Honor.
What car crashed on a side street?
It happens. That was a tough one, but just based on all the stories I got at the scene,
Yeah, that's all you've got to go on.
right.
And,
So
that's
I felt bad for the two parked cars that were just parked there, because the residents came out and they're like, "Oh, what happened to my car?" I'm like, "Lady just forgot to put her car in park and got out of her car because she was frantic about the accident."
and she was taken to the hospital by ambulance.
Yes, sir.
Or to do. Now you think of like Coolidge and 14 Mile or something where you've got a lot of moving cars going 35 or more. And just a side street coming into Rochester Road shouldn't be that complicated.
Right.
And the car that back up and hit two parked cars. You'd think the first one would have stopped it.
Right, exactly. Well, the Dewey Street is such a small street, like it's very like tight in there. So the two parked cars were kind of like next to each other, like they were like near, like in front of each other. So which caused them to impact with one another.
So she could have hit the front of the first one and the back of the second.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, Your Honor, I hope you had a good weekend.
I hope you did too. I hope you have a good day. I hope your weekend was good, and we'll see you in a week or two.
Appreciate it. I have Officer Cole here, and then Officer Patrone also messaged me saying that he was in the waiting room.
Yes, he's here too.
All right, Your Honor. See ya.
Let's see.